Highness may have damaged our chances of leave this to me. You don't have to lie down. Out of my way. I'm coming through.
Perhaps she follows to the school. Mr. Worthing, I hope this jarring globe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother. More shameful debts, extravagance.
Still leading his life of pleasure.
Dead.
Your brother Ernest dead?
Quite dead. What a lesson for him. I trust your prophet, guide.
Mr. Worthing, I offer my sincere condolences. You have at least the consolation of knowing him. You are the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
He has many faults, but it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No, dead abroad, in Paris, in fact. I received a telegram from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems. As a man sows, so shall he be. Ah, that reminds me. Dr. Chaswell, I mentioned the christening, Dr. I suppose you're not christening, all right? I mean, of course, you're continually christening, aren't you?
Yes. Is there a particular infant you are interested in, Mr. Worthing?
No, it's not for any child. I'm very fond of children. No, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself this afternoon if you have nothing better to do.
Well, surely, Mr. Worthing, you have been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
Well, do you have any great doubts on the subject?
I certainly intend to have. But, of course, I don't know if the thing would bother you in any way or if you think I'm a bit too old now.
Not at all. The sprinkling and indeed the immersion of adults is a perfectly conical practice. What time would you like the ceremony performed?
Would 5:30 be?
Admirably. Admirably. But now, Mr. Worthing, we will not intrude into this house of sorrow any longer. I merely beg you not be too bowed down by grief. For it seems to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me to be a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Uncle Jack! Oh, I'm so pleased to see you back. What foreign clothes you've got on? Do go in and change them. Cecily?
My child! My child!
What is the matter? You look as though you've got a toothache. And I've got such a surprise for you. You'll never guess who's in the dining room.
Who?
Your brothers! Your brother Ernest!
What nonsense, I haven't got a brother.
Oh, don't say that. No matter how badly he may behave to you in the past, he's still your brother. Couldn't be so hard as to just own him. I'll go tell him to come out. And you will shake hands with me, won't you, Uncle Jack?
Well, these are very joyful tidings.
After we'd all been resigned to his boss, his son returned seems to be peculiarly distressing. How
tell you how very sorry I am for all the trouble I have given you, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you're not going to fuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing at all would induce me to take his hand. His coming down here is disgraceful. And he knows why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There's some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury.
Oh, he's been talking about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Well, I won't have him talk to you about Bunbury or anything else.
Well, I admit the folks were all on my side, but I must say that I think Brother John's welcome is peculiarly painful. I had hoped for a more enthusiastic one, especially considering it is the first time I have come here.
Uncle Jack, if you do not shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me?
Never, never, never.
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
This is nice, is it not? To see such a perfect reconciliation. Well, might we leave the two brothers alone?
Cecily, you will accompany us. Certainly, Miss Prism. My little task of reconciliation is over.
You have done a great deed today, child.
We must not be premature in our judgment. Certainly. I feel very happy.
Ouchie! You young scoundrel! You've got to get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any bumbering here.
I put Mr. Ernest Worthing's luggage in the room next to yours. I suppose that is all.
What?
His luggage. I unpacked it in the room next to yours.
His luggage?
Yes, sir.
I'm afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merriman, order the dog cart at once. Mr. Ernest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful eye you are, Jack. I did not call back to town at all.
Yes, you have.
I haven't heard anyone call me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
I won't have you talk about his carving like that. Don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. They're perfectly ridiculous. I know that you go and change. It is perfectly childish of you to be in deep mourning for a man who is really staying with you in your house for a whole week as a guest. I call it grotesque.
You are not staying with me for a whole week as a guest or as anything else.
I certainly won't leave you so long as you were in mourning. You would be most unfriendly with me. If I were in mourning, I'm sure you would stay with me. I should think it most unfriendly if you didn't.
Will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you're quick about it. I never saw anyone take so long to dress and with such little result.
Well, it's better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally slightly overdressed, I make up for it by being always immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous, and your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you've got to leave by the 4:05 train.
Well, I believe this has been a wonderful bummery.
You have no right to bumber here.
I believe it has been a success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that's everything. But I must see her before I go, to make arrangements for another bumper. Oh, there she is.
Oh, I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
I was. He's going to send for the dog cart.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
Then have we got part?
Yes, it is a very painful parting.
It's always painful to part from anyone one has known for only a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity. But even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you.
The dog cart is ready, sir.
It can wait, Mervyn, for 5 minutes.
Yes, miss.
Cecily, I hope I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly that from the moment I first saw you, I thought you were the perfect personification of absolute perfection.
I think your friend is doing you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? I keep it to look at it.
No. You see, it's simply a very young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. I hope when it appears in volume form, you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down commutation. I have reached absolute perfection. You may go on. I'm quite ready for more. Oh, don't cough. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, from the moment I first beheld your wondrous, incomparable beauty, I dared to love you, wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily.
The dog cart is ready, sir.
Tell her to come around next week at the same hour.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew you were staying till next week at the same hour.
Oh, I don't care about Jack anymore. I don't care about anyone but you, Cecily. Will you marry me?
You silly boy, of course. Why, we've been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it'll be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
Oh. How did we become engaged?
Well, ever since Uncle Jack confessed to us that he had a younger brother that was very wicked and bad, you, of course, formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And one who is much talked about is always very attractive. And one feels that there must be something to him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest.
Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 22nd of last March. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I decided to end the matter one way or the other. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you. Under this dear old tree here. The next day, I bought this ring in your name, and this little bangle, in which is the true love and the not, which I promised you always swear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, Ernest, you have remarkably good taste. It's always been the excuse I've given for you leading such a bad life.
Oh.
And these are the dear letters that you wrote me.
But my own sweet, darling Cecily, I've never written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember only too well I was supposed to write all your letters for you. I wrote 3 times a week, sometimes oftener.
May I look at them?
Oh, no. You couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote to me after our engagement was broken off are so sweet and so badly spelled. I can hardly
very much hurt to hear you broke off our engagement, particularly when the weather was so charming.
Well, it would have hardly been a very serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect angel you are, Cecily.
You dear romantic boy. Your hair grows naturally, I hope.
Yes, with a little help from others.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, of course, there's a question of your name.
Yes, that.
You mustn't laugh at me, darling. But it's always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Ernest. There's something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest.
But, Cecily, do you really mean to say that you could not love me if my name wasn't Ernest?
But what name?
Oh, I don't know, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
But my own sweet, darling, loving little Cecily, I don't see why you shouldn't like the name of Algernon. It is a fine name. In fact, it is a rather aristocratic name. Half the fellows get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. Seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algernon, could you love me?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character. But I fear I should not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Yes, well, Cecily, your rector is, I take it, learned in all the rites and ceremonials of the church?
Yes, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He's never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him on a most important christening. I mean, on a most important business.
Oh,
I shall be back in less than half an hour.
wait! I think that since we've been engaged since March the 22nd, and I've only just met you today for the first time, I think it is rather harsh that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 29 minutes?
I shall be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy! I like his hair so much.
Miss Fairfax called in to talk to Mr. Worthing on very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Is it Mr. Worthing in his library?
I saw him go off in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Indeed. Pray, ask the lady to come out here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon. And Merriman, you may bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax? One of the many elderly women associated with Tom Jack and philanthropic work, I suppose. I don't much care for women who are associated with philanthropic work. It seems so forward of them.
and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deceptions, which even men of the noblest possible moral character are susceptible to the influence of the physical charms of others.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother. His own brother.
He never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm sorry to say they have not been on good terms for quite a long while.
That accounts for it. And now that I think of it, most men seem distasteful to talk about their brothers. Cicely, you have lifted a load off my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud went through a friendship like ours, but it not. But are you quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Fri who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon.
Dearest Gwendolyn, there's no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married!
I think there must be some slight error, Miss Carter. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear on the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
I'm afraid there must be some mistake, Miss Cardew. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
That is strange because he engaged to me yesterday at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, please do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I am so sorry if there's any disappointment, dear Cicely, but you see, I have the prior claim.
It would distress me, dear Gwendolyn, more than I can tell you, if it caused you any physical or mental anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
If he has, I will consider it my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you!
Shall I lay the tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in this vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills, quite close, one can see nearly 5 counties.
5 counties. I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
And I suppose that is why you live in a town? May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is rarely seen in the best houses nowadays.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter. Cake is not fashionable anymore.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax.
Ever since I met you, A moment. May I ask if you are going to be married to this young lady?
Do you live with Cecily? Of course not. Couldn't put such an idea into a pretty little head.
Thank you. You may.
I knew there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is at present round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthy.
I beg your pardon.
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack? Oh!
This is Ernest.
Darling,
A moment. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
what's your name? Good heavens!
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. I mean, Gwendolyn.
Why, of course not. Whatever could have gotten such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
I felt there was some slight air, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really John?
I could deny it. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name certainly is John. It has been John for years.
My poor wounded Cicely.
My sweet wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, won't you?
I just have one question to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest. So it is of some importance to us of where your brother is now at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it's so painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. But I will tell you quite frankly, however, that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all. I've never had a brother in all my life, and I don't intend on ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
It seems to me, Cicely, that we are engaged to no one.
It's a most unpleasant situation for a young girl suddenly to find herself in, isn't it?
Let us venture to the house. It will hardly collect us there.
No. Men are so cowardly, aren't they?
This ghastly state of things is what you would call bumbling, I suppose.
Yes, and it's been a wonderful hungry. The most wonderful hungry I've ever had in my life.
Well, you have absolutely no right to bumbury here. And as for your conduct toward Miss Cardew, I must say you're taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible excuse for your taking in a clever, brilliant, thoroughly educated young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I want to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
Well, I simply want to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
How you can sit there calmly eating muffins when we're in this terrible trouble, I can't quite make out.
Well, I
You
can't.
sound perfectly heartless.
I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cuffs. One should always eat muffins quite calmly. It's the only way to eat them.
There's no reason we should eat them all in that greedy way.
You just... When I'm in very great trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. In fact, when I am in very, very great trouble, as anyone who knows me quite intimately will tell you, I refuse everything, except food and drink. I'm eating muffins at the present moment because I am unhappy. Besides, I'm rather fond of muffins.
I say it's perfectly heartless. You're eating muffins at all under the circumstances.
Then why are you eating them?
Good heavens, I suppose a man should be able to eat his own muffins in his own garden.
That may be, but
fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I myself have made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 5:30. And I naturally can't Ernest. Gwendolyn would wish it. But we can't both be christened Ernest. That's absurd. Besides, I have the perfect right to be christened if I like. There's no evidence that I've ever been christened by anyone. And I don't think I ever was. Neither does Dr. Chasuble. And it's entirely indifferent in your case. You have been christened.
Yes, but I have not been christened for years.
Yes, but you have been christened. That is the important thing.
Jack, you are at the muffins again. I wish to goodness you wouldn't. I told you I was very fond of muffins. Why don't you have tea cake instead? I don't like tea cake.
But I hate tea cake!
Then why do you serve it to your guests? That is not what I call hospitality.
Algerian, why don't you go? I don't want you here. I've already told you to go. Why don't you go?
I haven't finished my tea yet, and besides, there's still one more. glad they have the opportunity of meeting you.
That certainly seems a very satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't. But that does not change the wonderful beauty of his answer.
True, a mattress of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is a vital thing. Mr. Worthing, why is it that you pretended to have a brother? Was it so you could come to town and visit me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the gravest doubts upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not the time to deal with skepticism. Their answers seem to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That, I think, has a stamp of truth upon it.
I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief has said. His voice alone seems to inspire one with absolute confidence.
So do you think we should forgive them?
Yes! I mean, no.
True. I had forgotten. There are principles that say that one cannot surrender. Which of us should tell them? It is a most unpleasant task.
Could we not both speak at the same time?
An admirable idea. I always nearly speak at the same time as other people. Could you take the time for me?
Yes.
Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? What are we going to be christened this afternoon?
For me, you are prepared to do this terrible thing?
I am.
To please me, you are willing to undergo this fearful ordeal?
I am.
How absurd to talk of the equality of sexes. Where questions of self-sacrifice are concerned, men are infinitely beyond us.
We are.
They have moments of physical courage which we women know nothing about.
We do.
Darling!
Darling.
Lady Brack.
Good heavens!
Gwendolyn, what does this mean? Merely that I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mamma. Come here. Sit down immediately. You must clearly understand that all communication between yourself and my daughter must cease immediately from this moment. On this point, as indeed on all points, I am firm.
I'm engaged to be married to Gwendolyn, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind. Now, as regards Algernon,
Yes, Augusta.
may I ask if it is in this house that your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
Bunbury? No. Bunbury lives somewhere else. In fact, Aunt Augusta, Bunbury is dead.
Dead? When did he die?
Oh, I killed Bunbury this afternoon. I mean... Bunbury died this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Bunbury quite exploded.
Exploded?
I mean, he's found out. The doctors realized that Bunbury could not live, and so he died.
Well, he seems to have had great confidence in his position. However, I'm glad that he finally made up his mind and took a definite course of action under proper medical advice. Now that we have got rid of this Mr. Bunbury, may I ask, Mr. Worthing, who is this young person who is holding my nephew's hand in what seems to me a most unnecessary manner?
She is my ward, Miss Cecily Carter.
I'm engaged to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon.
But Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
The number of engagements that go on seem to be far above the proper average which statistics have laid down for our guidance. So preliminary inquiry on my part would not be out of the question. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all connected to any of the larger railway stations of London? I merely desire information.
Shire SW, Reverse Park, Dorking, Surrey, and Spawn 5 Shire NB.
Well, that is not unsatisfactory. 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. Come on, Gwendolyn. Time approaches for our departure. There's not a moment to lose. I suppose, as a matter of form, I should ask if Miss Cardew has any other fortune?
Oh, just about 130,000 pounds of the funds. That is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you.
A moment! Mr. Worthing. 130,000 pounds? And in the funds? Miss Cardew seems to me a most attractive young lady. Now that I look at her. Come here, sweet child. Pretty child. Kindly turn around for me. Yeah, the side view is what I want. Yes. 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 It is quite as I thought. There are great social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile. There are 2 things that this society is in great need of, and that is principle and profile. The chin a little higher, dear. Style largely depends on how the chin is worn. They are worn very high just at present. Yes, Algernon? There are great social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily is the sweetest, prettiest girl I ever met, and I don't give 2 pence for her social possibilities.
Algernon, never speak disrespectfully of society. Only those who can't get into it do that. Well, I suppose I must give my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
You may kiss me, Cecily.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Marriage better take place quite soon, I think. I've never been a fan of long engagements. They allow one to discover the character of the one that you are going to marry, which I think is not advisable.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Pardon me for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but Miss Cardew is my ward, and she cannot marry without my consent until she comes of age, and that consent I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely, I may say even ostentatiously, eligible young man. He has nothing, but looks everything. What more could you want?
It pains me very greatly to speak frankly about your nephew, Lady Bracknell, but the fact is, I don't approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
My nephew Algernon, untruthful, impossible. He is an Oxonian.
He obtained admission to my house by the false pretense of being my betrothed. He, in the course of a single afternoon, alienated the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed to tea and devoured every single muffin. And what makes his conduct all the more heartless is he knew from the first that I have no brother. I've never had a brother, and I don't intend on ever having one in the future. I distinctly told him so yesterday afternoon.
Well, after careful consideration, I've decided to entirely overlook my nephew's conduct towards you.
That's very generous of you, Lady Bracknell, but my own decision, however, is unalterable. I decline to give my consent.
Come here.
How old are you? Well, I'm really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
Well, it will not be long until you are of age and free from the restraints of tutelage. So I think your guardian's consent is not, after all, of any importance.
Pardon me for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but according to the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not legally come of age till she is 35.
That does not seem to be of any grave importance. The London society is full of women of highest birth who have been admitted to 35 for years, of their own free will. is an example of point. She has, to my own knowledge, been admitting to 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 14, which was a long time ago now. I see no reason why you wouldn't be even more attractive at the age of conventions than you are now, and there will be an accumulation of property.
Algie, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could, sis. You know I could.
Yes. I felt it instinctively. But I couldn't wait all that time.
Neither could I.
I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anyone.
I know.
And waiting even to be married is quite out of the question.
I know. Then what is to be done?
I don't know, Mr. Munfree.
As Miss Cardew states that she positively cannot wait until she is 35, a remark which I am about to say shows a bit of an impatient nature, I beg of you to reconsider your decision.
But, my dear Lady Brown, the matter is entirely in your hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will most gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my lord.
Mr. Worthing, you know quite well that what you suggest is out of the question. Come now, Gwendolyn, we miss 5 if not 6 trains. To miss any more would expose us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
The christenings? Is that not somewhat premature?
Both these gentlemen have expressed their desire for immediate baptism.
At their age? The idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I entirely forbid you from going through with this. Lord Bracknell knew this was how you wasted your time and money. He would be utterly disappointed.
Am I to understand, then, that there will be no christening this afternoon?
I don't think that as things are now would be of much practical value to either of us.
I have just received news from the new pew opener that Miss Prism has been waiting for me at the vestry for nearly an hour and a half.
Prism?
So,
Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
yes, Lady Bracknell. I'm on my way to join her right now.
Pray allow me to detain you for a moment. This could be of great importance to Lord Bracknell and I. Is Miss Prism a woman of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies. And she's the very picture of respectability.
Mr. Worthing, may I ask what position you hold in our household?
Miss Prism has been the last 3 years. Miss Cardew's admirable governess, valued companion.
Despite what I hear of her, I must see her immediately. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She is not.
I was told you expected me in the vestry, dear Kenneth. I have been waiting for you there for an hour and 3/4.
Prism? Prism, come here right now! Prism! Where is that baby? Prism! Prism, come here! Prism! a manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentalities. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Braxel, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mentioned, the day that is forever branded on my memory, I prepared, as usual, to take the baby out in its perambulator. I had also with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag, in which I had intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction that I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, for which I can never forgive myself, I deposited the manuscript in the bassinet and placed the baby in the handbag.
Where did you deposit the handbag?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist on knowing where you put that handbag.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
Which railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
Try to learn for a moment. Please for me.
Uncle Jack is acting very peculiar.
Well, hope he finds it.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine carefully before you speak, please. Happiness of more than one life depends on your answers.
It seems to be mine. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I am delighted at having it so unexpectedly restored to me. It has been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
More has been restored to you than the handbag. I was the baby you placed inside it.
You?
Yes. Mommy.
I'm there.
Oh.
Do not admit that's a serious blow, but after all, who has the right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly?
Mr. Wood, some error. There is the lady who tells you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me who I am?
I'm afraid the news I have to tell you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my late sister, Mrs. Fri, and consequently, Algernon's elder brother.
Elder brother. Then I have a brother after all. I always said I had a brother. Cecily, how have you ever doubted that I had a brother? Jasmine, my unfortunate brother. Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. You scoundrel. You ought to treat me with more respect in the future. You never treated me like a brother in all your life.
I have tried, old boy, but, I've been rather out of practice.
My own one. But what down are you now that you've become someone else?
Good heavens, I had quite forgotten the fact. Lady Bracknell, at the time when Miss Prism found me in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Every luxury which money could buy had been lavished upon you by a
Then I was christened. That is that. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Being the eldest, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name?
I cannot at the present recall what the general's Christian name was, though I'm sure he had one.
Algie, can't you remember what our father's Christian name was?
My dear fellow, we were hardly on speaking terms. He died before he was a year old.
Merriman. His name would appear on the army lists of the period, I suppose.
Well, the general was mostly a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But I'm sure his name would appear in any military directory.
The records of the army records of the last 40 years are here. These delightful records should have been my constant study. M generals. Morgan, Miriam, Maxwell. Ghastly names these people have. Lieutenant Colonel, General. 1869, Christian names. I always told you, Gwendolyn, that my name was Ernest, didn't I? Well, it is Ernest after all. It naturally is Ernest.
I felt from the first that you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn,